asked all of you if you wanted to do another vehicle giveaway, and overwhelmingly all of you said, yep, let's go on ahead and do that. So we're going to do it. Actually, right now through the end of June, we're doing a vehicle giveaway. But here's the thing though, a guy didn't have one in the stable that was cool enough and quite honestly was complete enough to give away. So I did the next best thing, jumped on the interwebs there, searched around and found a really, really cool car that we're going to give away this month of June. Let me introduce you to this 1981 Buick Regal street legal NASCAR stock car tribute. So here's the plan. Don't have one. But I do know that this car needs to get back to the Vice Grip Garage pole barn. It's about an hour and 40-minute drive, something like that. So I'm just gonna jump in, we're gonna go for a ride, we're gonna figure this thing out on the way there. Once we get it there, we're gonna go through it bumper to bumper, and we're gonna find ways to make this thing better by the time we give it away. But first, this is the first time I'm seeing it, along with you folks. Let's walk around this thing, drink it up, look at it closer, and see what we really have here in this 81 Buick Regal. So this thing looks like an older restoration or tribute build, but it still shows really, really nice. But I gotta tell you guys, it's not perfect. Some of the decals are a little faded and worn. Back here, I think I saw a crack. You know, little things like this, but it's still a really, really nice car. One of the first things the guy noticed, probably you fellers and fellettes, the exhaust is on the wrong side. We have to fix that. That's got to go over to the other side and maybe do something a little bit different there as well. But it's got the right kind of wheels. It's got about the best tire a guy can get for this situation. Even has the headlight covers, but the lights are still there. Again, this is completely street legal. Has wipers, tail lights, blinkers, horn, everything to make this street legal. That's really cool. There's no dents, I don't think, anywhere. There's another small little crack, but nice looking rig. Got the spoiler on it. This is cool too. In the rear and the front, they even have the slats. These are on the inside because of the wipers, of course. I mean, they went all out on this thing. Let's jump inside and take a look. Another really cool thing here is this is probably one of the lower mile Buick Regals out there. This is believed to have 71,000 original miles on this car, and I gotta tell you, it actually looks like it. So we'll find that right away. Yep, 71, 159 on the odometer. We got a shifter in here. We got gauge laters. We got all the Rip'em gauges. She set to 6. That's pretty peppy. We'll see if that happens. Look at that. Darrell Waltrip, number 11. That is marker. Again, we talked to the previous owner who was able to acquire that signature, and he has stated or verbalized that that is a legitimate signature, which is really cool. The interior is in really good shape for being all original. Dome light still works right above the old roll bar. Back seat doesn't look like it's ever been sat in. It's got belts in it. It's got the proper mirror. It's got tilt. It's cruise, AC. It's got a tape player. You know, what else does a guy need? Over on this side, I did dig through the glove box. Has the original owner's manual and some other stuff in here. It's got the owner's name, so I'm not going to show you, but basically this has just had all new brakes, battery, and a bunch of work done to it, and there's a ton of receipts just for upkeep. Look how straight this thing is. Just wild. Jessica just popped the trunk. Oh wow. Oh, it's got a, what is this? CD player changer disky thing. Lights work. Of course, you got to have the do stickers. All the original stickers. What is that? I don't know. What do you think so far?
I mean, I don't want to give it away.
It's pretty awesome, isn't it?
So cool.
Yeah, we saw it for the first time. We were like, oh my gosh, we love this car. That's something worth mentioning. If I couldn't build the car and give it away, we were going to buy one and give it away. We wanted to make absolutely sure. Look, I would have built this car exactly the same. Exactly the same. I love this thing. Which is what makes it fun and cool, is you're getting something that I would really enjoy personally as well. All right, we're going to see what we got in the power barn here. She's pinned up good. Squeeze her. Well, for Pete's sake. Oh yeah. All right. Small block. We got intake. Fuel make it happen there. We got headers on here. Performance lightning hoses. Well, that's had some new AC components. That's been dolled up. New battery. All the belts are on it. This isn't. I feel weird. It's odd. Everything seems to be correct. Cruise control is all still there. Of course, power brakes, power steering. I'm not sure what to do with my hands at this point. I hope it sounds good. I don't know what kind of mufflators it's got on it, but it's got to be kind of loud, doesn't it, Jessica?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have this feller pull it outside. It's actually pouring rain right now. It's supposed to rain for the rest of the day, pretty much. So I guess we're gonna dive right in and see how she does in the rain and see if the wipers work and the lights and all of that. And we're gonna travel back to the shop and get this thing, probably throw it up on the lift and just start going through this thing. See what we could do to make this a better car than it is already, which I gotta be honest, I'm not used to being in this position. It looks pretty legit already, but nonetheless, we will find a way. Let's fire this thing up. Oh yeah. Sounds pretty good. Probably a chambered muffler of some kind. Sounds like it runs good. Oh man, this thing's cool. Well, wipers are working, got the lights on. We'll check them here in a minute. First stop, let's throw some fresh fuel in this thing. I don't know how long it's been sitting, and then we'll hit the highway. Well, the guy's gone 9 feet, so we better test the traction out a little bit, huh? Yeah, there is none, basically, so check. Okay. That's like quarter throttle. She's a little slickery. Oh yeah. Guy threw some fuel in her. Enough to carry me home anyway. Man, she looks good. So you fellers and fellas probably know how this works. Swing over to vicegripgarage.com. Pick yourself up some snazzy merchandise. I don't know, forward awning, back rag, keychain, sticker, coffee tumbler. I don't know what you want. Just grab something. And every $5 you spend, it's one entry for your chance to win not only the number 11 Mountain Dew Buick Regal, but I'm also going to throw in $5,000 for you. And I listen, for my friends and neighbors up north in Canada, you're eligible as well. That's right, you Canadians can enter as well, with the exception of Quebec. To get yourself entered for a chance to win, and also the rules and fine print, swing over to vicegripgarage.com. This thing is running great. It absolutely has a shift kit on it. The 1 to 2 shift is brutal, 2 to 3 is crisp. In fact, it's kind of wet and slippery and it keeps kicking out on the 1 to 2 shift. Engine sounds great. It's got great oil pressure. Well, I'll show you all that stuff. This is a real peach, I'm telling you. Have noticed it's been a little cranky starting sometimes. It's that carburetor life. Temperature's good. It's got great oil pressure. Needs some carburetor work. I'm gonna do a quick light check here. Oh yeah. Oh yep, yeah. Got up here. Side marker. Got a light. Got a light. Side marker. We're good to go. It kind of sounds like a small cam. Maybe. So I just talked to the company I got the car from, and I asked them to reach out to the original owner and ask his permission if I could talk to him about the car. Yeah, that's right. And they said absolutely. And the guy said I can call him this evening. I'm gonna try to get more details on the engine and what kind of rear gear and stuff like that, so we don't have to tear into it that heavy to get some of the basics. But man, it drives straight, it runs and sounds good, shifts great. So I'm thinking he really took care of this thing, but I'll try to get those details for you. All right, I'm just waiting for Jessica here. She should be pulling in any second. We'll put this thing on the highway. I'm gonna kind of take her easy on the way home. These tires are pretty slickery in the rain, and I ain't kidding you. We'll get her in the shop, see what we can do. Very well. The looks I'm getting from folks passing me when I got the window net up is pretty funny, actually. Cruise control works. That's a first for me. I got the windows up, and I don't own a vehicle that is this quiet in the cabin. I don't. And I got the AC going. Got it turned down, nice and cool. Just enjoying the back roads of Tennessee here. In a Mountain Dew race car. Ooh, hear that scraping? I don't know if that's the tip or if that's the front. It does sit kind of low in the nose. Well, we made her back to the barn with zero issues. Got her up on the lift here. I want to walk underneath this car and just, scan the peepers on it and take some notes, write some stuff down, see what we got to fix or replace. I've got a bunch of parts here already that I want to put in it, but I want to check out the suspension and things like that and the exhaust, kind of come up with some ideas and get things ordered now so we can quickly get this done. I just want a really nice car to come out of here. Did I just say that out loud? I think I did. Or did I just think it in my head? Anyway, I digress. I want this to just be fun, reliable, turnkey. I don't know who's going to win this thing. Could be you. Could be your mom. Could be someone's first car. I just want them to be able to get it, turn the key, drive it wherever they want, have zero issues. That's the goal. Let's get under this thing, check it out. Of course, the very first thing a guy notices is the exhaust. That's got to change. I needed to exit on the other side. The fumes were actually pretty bad for the driver's side. I don't like the way it sounds. I don't like the way it looks. They kind of had the right idea, but we're going to make it better. Looks like it was just straight piped. Oh, I got some Californias on it. We're going to get rid of them right away. We got the overdrive transmission. That's great. That shifts. This thing, I ain't kidding you. Your 8th throttle, it chirps the tires in the 2nd, and it breaks your mullet off in the 3rd. Wide open, it runs very well. I don't even know what oil filter that is. We'll do the basic stuff. We're going to change the oil. We're going to do all the servicing. I wanted to look at brakes. Oh, that's brand new caliper. We saw the receipts. So those were in fact just put in. Rotors, oh, that's good. Reman starters in here already. Wow. New brake lines. It's had new shocks. Wonder what the rear. Yep, new shocks back here. Wow. Done. New coil springs. Never put in recently. Paint still shiny. Of course, you got the little rear end, but it's definitely geared. I know that, and it's got a real nice posi in it. Drug it a couple times. But underneath is solid. Not a speck of rust on this thing anywhere. Frame is immaculate. All the bushings look good. Huh. Wow, off to a good start. Sway bar bushings are a little dry, but not a cause for concern. I think those will be just fine. These bushings are fine. Newerish belt. Got a chrome timing cover. Believe you me. I'm gonna make a list here quick, and I'm gonna show you a pile of parts I got over here, but pretty much we're gonna do all the maintenance stuff. I'm gonna put an oil change on my list, but what that really means is guys gonna actually break out the grease gun, I think. Let's grease it. Change on the Earls, do all that stuff. I'm gonna make my own boom tube, or I'm going to attempt to. I have no idea what I'm doing. I have a vision in my head. We're just gonna try to make it, and we're gonna kick it out the passenger side. With that, we're gonna do a custom exhaust system. I'm gonna have my buddy Chad come up from Volunteer Muffler and Performance. And I got some mufflers for this thing that sound amazing, or I think they're going to. I just put a set on a Firebird, a 455, and it's gonna be good. It's gonna be really good. Then, yes, we're gonna put a Holley Sniper on this. Now, we just did this on Longmire, that old C10 with the straight 6. Man, that thing runs good now. And there are a couple people that commented, "Oh, another EFI kit, boring." Well, first of all, you know, third, look, I'm at 400 videos now. Really, and I think I've done EFI 5 times. Let's pump the brake. Those don't work. Let's throw in first gear. Ease up a little bit, okay? It's the way of the future. It's the here and now. There's no denying it's better performance, economy, starting, reliability, you name it. And I'm a carburetor guy, and I'm saying that. And again, just like I want it for my wife, I want that for whoever wins this thing. Just jump in and go. Plus you can tune it and do all sorts of stuff. So we got a Sniper. We're gonna put some timing management in this where you can actually control the timing as well. We're gonna put a nice tune-up in this thing, but if someone wants to go wild with the thing, throw some time in and fuel lighter, whatever. If you win it, it's your car, but we'll do something pretty cool. I'll show you that here in a second. We're also gonna put a brand new fuel tank in it. We're gonna put a fuel pump in it. We're gonna put a sending unit, new lines, everything. That's been in there since 1981. There's no doubt that's the original tank. It's probably full of sediment and bad gas and varnish. Who knows by now? Let's just replace all of it, and it's gonna be an in-tank pump, which is, well, the preferred setup for fuel injection. I've got some other goodies over here. Let me show you. Now right away, I wanna show you the Sniper Stealth. This is the EFI unit, and it looks exactly like a carburetor. These are so cool. So we'll be able to plug our fuel in, just like you would on a carb with like a fuel log. We'll probably end up just making one, and that's gonna give us our fuel injection right there. We have all of the harnesses and screen. Undecided if I'm gonna keep that little screen in the car or not, but I did pick up a mount for it just in case. This is how we're gonna control our timing with the Holley Sniper unit. This is the Hyperspark. And this is a small block Chevy, big block Chevy. Literally drop it in, ready to run, plug this thing in, and now we have timing control with our handheld and our tune. So you don't even got to get under there and whatever. That's pretty neat. I got all my fittings. We're going to be running the Vapor Guard system. Super easy, guys. If you don't want to do AN fittings, you can do rubber line, Vapor Guard. I'll show you some of that stuff. This is really cool. I've always wanted a set of these. This is a Holley Vintage Series. You can get cast, satin black, or polished. I went with the black. I think that's going to look pretty cool. I'm not really a huge fan of chrome, to be honest, and that's what's under there now. So we'll go with this. I've got a matching air cleaner that's on the way. It might not get here in time, but we'll see. Fingers and toes crossed, but that'll look good with this. This is the coil for the Hyperspark. That's plug and play. This is going to be the fuel pump for the new tank. Sending unit. I even got new straps for the tank. This is a whole kit. The Sniper fuel tank kit for the G-body basically, and that's this nice thing here. Powder coated, ready to go. Nice looking tank. It's like a Tanks Inc. setup here. It's got the filler neck and everything. It comes with literally everything except the 2 clamps for that rubber neck there. These are the mufflers I'm going to go with. Black Widow Widowmakers. Aggressive high performance tone. That's exactly what we want. On that Firebird I just did, when you're wide open throttle in the RPM and you hit that nitrous and you got them mufflers screaming, yeah, I said nitrous. It reminded me of, well, mid 80s, early 80s NASCAR sound. Just the most aggressive shriek you can think of. Now, probably not a good daily driver muffler, gonna be honest. And you couple that with the boom tube we're gonna make, it's gonna be pretty loud, but that plays the part in here. And with the Sniper here, the old school look, we're going old school valve covers, but we're gonna have that kind of new tech and that technologies and reliability. You know what I mean? So we got a lot to do, but mainly Sniper install, whole fuel system. We got a big exhaust project we're gonna be doing, and that's all gonna be custom. So we gotta start digging in here. I just kind of roughly cut this out with cardboard, but that's kind of what I'm going for the exhaust tip exit. It's going to be a traditional kind of rectangle shape, well, the old school NASCAR kind of look, but we're going to have to fabricate the whole thing. There used to be some companies that made some of those. Gas Doctor I think was one, and a couple others, but they've all basically shuttered up. So we're going to go ahead and make our own anyway. It'll be cooler and it's going to be fun. I need to learn how to do this anyway. Now, it's probably worth mentioning that we're going to leave everything on here just the way it is, meaning we're going to keep the AC, obviously. That's fantastic. Cruise control. I don't think I've got anything that works. We're going to do our best to keep that as well. I mean, look at this old Carter they've got in here, and they've you know, used some witchcraft and some boogery and got all that working. So we're going to do the same. We want to keep that. We're just getting rid of this thing for some fuel injection. That's pretty much the primary goal, and replacing the Lightning Whirler back there as well. So I think I'm just going to start by, well, let's just dig in, right? We get it on top dead center. Fuel making happen to come off. Lightning Whirler. We could take the valve covers off because chrome don't get us home. We might as well take this unit out as well. I do have a Mr. Gasket unit that's going to be throwing out some more lightning. Not necessarily necessary, but now we're running digital pumps and we've got computer boxes and computer whirlers, and so let's make sure we can get the V's and the lightning into the lightning cube over here appropriately. That's the thought anyway. Look at all this stuff. I can't believe all this still works. Beautiful rig. All right, let's tear in. Guys, got some parts ripped out of the rig here and learned a little bit more about our combo, so I wanted to share that with you here. Stamped steel rockers, nothing fancy as far as the valve train go, but this is pretty interesting. This casting number right there is actually to a 305 head. It's a 58cc chamber for higher compression. It's a cheap way to hop up V8 small block Chevrolets. In fact, I did a build with these heads a while back. We made like 300 horsepower on a Chevy 307. So they're pretty dang decent heads, I got to be honest. And the casting number back there is 3970014, which I know from experience is a early 70s Camaro typically, but you found them in Corvettes and pickups, anything like that. It could be a 2 or 4 bolt main. So they've kind of obviously went through this engine and done something to it. I'm not sure what kind of headers those are. Those kind of look like hookers, but maybe I can try to figure that out as well. Now the sparkulator looked great. I pulled that out to set this on top dead center since we were pulling the Lightning Whirler out. My best guess is they refreshed on those because, you know, they were selling the rig, and if you look at the Lightning hoses, those are brand new. So I think they just did an ignition upgrade right before they sold it, and that's fine. We're just gonna leave that alone. There's really no sense in changing on that. So I'm gonna put new valve cover gaskets. We'll get those new valve covers on, get those snugged up, and then we're gonna go ahead and drop in the Hypersparkuses, and then we can set that nice new Sniper EFI, well, throttle body, half carb, Terminator, Nodish, robot thing, fuel injector, squirter, stealth on here. Valve covers are on, and man, those look fantastic. Got that old school look, but they look tough. Had to go with the wing nut spinner tire downer things because, you know, again, old school. Wanted to show you a little bit more on this Hyperspark because we did it a little bit differently on Charlotte. Similar setup though, right? Again, this is small block Chevy, big block Chevy. We used the lights in here to phase it last time. This time we're going to use this handy dandy cap, and you can't mess it up. Literally, this cap just snaps into place and aligns it, and it's phased, ready to go. All we have to do when we drop this in, just like any Lightning Whirler installation, is we want the rotor right here facing the #1 plug. So you got to figure out what kind of engine you got, of course. They're all different, counterclockwise, clockwise, firing order. For us, of course, this is over on the captain side. We just want it kind of facing this way, right? That's traditional anyway. You don't have to, it doesn't really matter, but that's traditional. And then all we have to do is rotate this base until this cap, which I dropped on the ground, great, snaps right into place. Once that happens, all we do is lock the base down, done. That's literally it. From there, the computer is going to take control of the timing. You'll notice there's no vacuum canister, anything on this. It's that simple. It looks intimidating, but they've made it, I mean, that's really it. Snap the cap on, make a little mark where your #1 post is going to be, put your lightning hoses on in the typical order you put them on, and that's it. And then we just do our typical wiring, which you guys have seen quite a few times now. As far as wiring on this, all we have is white to white, switch 12 volt ignition, has to have 10 amps, and you ground it. The coil plugs right in, or you don't have to use this fancy dancy. You might already have one, I don't know. Use the old one, just snip them off, snag it onto this one. You can do that too. And then you just select Hyperspark distributor, ready to run in your boot box. Done. I do have to go from a spread bore to a square bore. See here? Thankfully I have one of those in stock. And when I say in stock, I mean, well, what used to be on the pegboard, which is now just laying on the floor in a giant mess, I had one of those, thankfully. So we'll be able to go from that right to a square bore. Hopefully we still have air cleaner distance. Look at that. Still says Buick up there. I don't want to tear this up. That's an original. You never see this, ever. There it is, hanging on. But anyway, we're gonna keep moving. I'm gonna probably tape this off quick just so I don't get any debris down there. Go ahead and drop the Lightning Whirler down first, get that done, get the lightning hoses plugged back up so we could just check ignition off, and then we'll move on to that. Well, that did go on ahead and go in real easy. Now I got to just, well, I think we could just move on to this. I need a lightning hose for the coil, and the kit doesn't come with one. And I don't have just one laying around. But O'Reilly's on the performance wall has a single wire in a pack, so I don't have to buy a whole set or anything like that. The downside is it's going to be yeller, but whatever. Now we're going to have to just remember, or you guys are going to have to help me remember, this was power to the old Lightning Whirler, which is a really good 12-volt keyed source, probably for our ignition moving forward. And then we also had this little guy here, which is our tack. We want to keep that. There'll be a different tack output from the Holley Sniper harness we're going to plug into. There's the plug for this. We'll get to that a little bit later. Move some vacuum around. There was a vacuum advance. This runs up to vacuum modulator beep boop thing. And the other one's the cruise control, which we want to keep. So I made sure to keep all that plugged in. I also have a 12 key volt source here, which used to run the digital choke, which we're not going to need anymore. No more Michael Jackson in the gas pedal, which this one is pretty ornery when it's cold. Well, most carb units are. Now we're just going to hit the key and it's going to fire up. But we can use that. There's a pink wire on the Sniper. We'll probably end up using that for us. I'm just trying to take notes kind of as I go through here. I wanted to ask you guys a question here on this ignition stuff. You probably noticed that I just did all the odds first, just out of, I don't remember anything. Birthdays, anniversaries, special events, moon cycles, none of that stuff. I know where my fence suppliers are, my Leatherman, and the firing order to about 27 different engines for some reason. So I just do all the odds first, and then I'll come over to the other side, do all the evens, and then I just verify once and I'm done. But what do you guys do? Do you guys do one at a time? Do you pull one wire off, and if you're changing lightning hoses, for example, do you pull one off, put one back on? Do you rip all of them off and then do all of them I don't know, I'm just curious. I'm pretty sure I do it oddly. Oddliest? It's been a long day. Okay. So anywho, let's get, I need to put this adapter on fast and we'll drop that gold unit on here. Yep. Yes. Gasket, the adapteroonies. We're gonna have a bunch of Holley garb on here with the metal broken intake, but it's a dual plane, it's good, it'll do the thing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know. So let's get this bolted on. This adapter is pretty decent actually. This one allows you to put the studs, well, I'll show you here, 1 second. This one actually allows you to screw the stud into the plate. There's some out there by other companies. I'm guessing because it's the patents. I don't know who this Mr. Patent guy is, but he seems to be a stickler. Anywho's, you can screw your studs into here and then set your devices on. The other ones, you have to put the bolts in upside down and then put bolts in this way, and then the bolts flop around and they're too loose and they're not. What I'm saying is Edelbrock got the adapter plate right. Over torque. Crisscross over torque pattern. Engage. Yeah. Over torque. Why is there like, it's like bearing grease or something on the handle of this rig? I'm sure I use it as a pry bar for brakes or something. Teach on you guys something. Yep, most screwdrivers have this on them. Take a look. I ain't kidding you. You really want to snoop some on. Wait, look at this. What in the devil is going on? That's a vacuum leak if I ever seen one. Should we ignore it? No, that's pretty bad. Hardware is bottoming out. We're gonna need something else. Great. Disassemble. Abort. Abort mission. Disassemble. Disassembling. Here I am, 5/16 socket cap things. Yeah, these will work. Can't remember what these came out of, but there was a plastic bag laying over there. It was obviously to some other apparatus, but you know how extra hardware goes. It's for this now. Seems to be fitting in there just fine. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oops. Click, click. Yeah, there it is. Right when that second tendon pops. That's what we're wanting. The other nice thing about this adapter-uni plate is it's going to get us up over this vacuum port in the back here that we beforehand mentioned. So that's not interfering in any way. Oh, I need the world's best tool to seat on them. Proto. Manufactured in US. This is an oldie. Yep. Okay. Yep. Okay. There we go. Yeah. Oh yeah. Like a glove. That looks good. I'm liking that gold. Oh, I gotta leave that one loose. We gotta put bracketry back there for the TV cable and throttle cable. But these can be snuggleized. Well, I was sitting here playing with the bracketry, trying to get this to work. This is faulty for two reasons. One, it's made for a standard like Edelbroken, where the body is going to hit that bracket and not allow this to swing around. I would have to weld a nut on right here and drive a bolt through into the side of the base, which you could do. But for me, this is more of a kick down and throttle assembly. It's not going to work for this TV cable. This needs to be adjusted precisely, or you're going to smoke that 700 in the blink of two eyes. Unless you just got one eye. It's a blink of an eye. So I think what we're going to do is use this bird cage thing. I mean, someone clearly engineered this. I mean, yeah. So I'm gonna powder coat this real quick. What I mean by that is, but we'll measure this up. I'm gonna use some all thread so we could space it, because we put a spacer underneath that unit there, and we're gonna bolt that other one in because it worked, and we know it worked. So let's just, you know what I mean? Let's do that. Guy has been wrestling around, but I think we got her. Got the bubblegum bracketry on there. Looking good. We've retained the cruise control. I had to adjust on that. Got the throttle hooked back up. And most importantly, our TV cable. Now, the geometry has changed on this, and it's very, very important anytime you make changes with your fuel make it happen, or whatever kind of system you have here. I guess most appropriately the linkage. This relationship changes in length and science words, a couple syllable words. So what we need to do is readjust this, and it's actually very simple. These transmissions sound intimidating because, yes, in fact, you don't do this correctly, she's toast. But all you have to do is to press that button, just squeeze it in. Sometimes they click, sometimes they don't. And then you run your throttle wide open, and it's going to stretch that cable. And as long as that cable is at its farthest pole when you're wide open throttle, you're fine. Meaning, if this is wide open and I were to take my other hand and pull on that cable, and I could pull that cable out farther, I need to make adjustments still. So wide open throttle, farthest cable pull. And that's really all there is to that. So I'm gonna make sure I get that dialed in appropriately. Then this is all bolted on, ready to go. Another tip here, because tricks are for kids, what my friend says. When you're bolting these on, I always like to keep these butterflies moving and or open. And then I'll snug it, make sure this moves freely, snug it, make sure it moves freely. Sometimes you'll test this and go, oh, it works great. You'll fire the rig up, take it down the street and floor it, and she binds wide open. Well, you better hang on. That's going to be a ride. So just be careful with that. You know what I mean? So unfortunately, this fancy-dancy charging whirler did not quite fit. The case is slightly different. This ear needs to be a little bit longer, but I'm going to hang on to this. It's a nice one wire. I have a tractor. We might put that on. I got some tractor stuff coming. So I put this old unit back on. This one did charge. Again, it might not be an issue, but I guess we're going to find out. Started running some wiring here. You guys have seen this. I'm not going to go through it all in detail. Main fuse, fuel pump relay. Got those mounted where you can get to them. Here's one of our harness plugs. These are all labeled right on them. Took out the yellow wire. We're not going to be using that because all we're going to do is simply plug this in to our lightning whirler over there. Now I went ahead and depinned some of this stuff. And what I mean by depin, if you've never heard of that, and maybe there's a different term, but all of this came out of here. And you can see how intimidating that looks. Well, if you follow the schematicals here and read through these, I noticed that I'm not going to be using any of these other than a tack output, and I need my white wire, which is my points output, because we're going to be connecting that to our lightning whirler harness over here. So I'm able to get all of this out of the way, and we're only down to that. And you don't have to have a special tool. This is just like an ice pick, and I ground the point down on one side, and you just jam this in, pull the wire out, done deal. So the wiring really is down to those couple there. We got our fuel pump right to the battery here, 12 volt switched. The rest is plug and play. O2 sensor, got the coolant temp sensor in over here. So it's coming along. I think I'm going to continue forward with some of that wiring right now, and then eventually got to mount the coil, and that'll also just plug in as well. I'm thinking back there, potentially over here. This is the actual ECU or computer box. We don't want the coil mounted right next to this. It could cause interference issues like that potentially. So the farther we get that away from the beep boops, let the Wally do the walling, you know, the better. So a guy landed on a spot for the ignition coil here, and that's going to go right back over here. And the harness should reach. We can run it up back over here if we want to. Keep this dry, protected out of the way, and it's as far as possible from the computer boot bop over there. And we're going to be running some nutserts in this right there. So if we need to service it or something like that, or whoever, they can just pull it out and do what they need to do and put her back. Yep. Kind of like that it's going to be tucked back up in here. Guy's going to have to really scan his peepers to even see this. I like that. Yeah. This is the brake system I need for the Grand National, or it would work anyway, but I'd have to take the pedal assembly too. But don't worry, Grand National's coming back. Finally getting parts. M5 hardware, only because that's the only zippy doodah thimble things I had left for that machine thing. I gotta get on the Scamazon and order some more, I guess. I don't know if you can get just the cartridges. I don't know. Wait, I guess it'd be nuts, wouldn't they? Yeah, this looks pretty good. Not bad, I must say. Hank Williams Jr. bought a new Kubota. Don't know why, but he's got it. Hat change! Guys moved into the inside here, just kind of trying to keep moving with the wiring aspect of it. Look at these floor mats even. NASCAR, it's the racings. I'm not used to working with cars that have all the factory plastics and doodads and grommets in there, so that's something new I've been struggling through. There was a miscellaneous switch under here that wasn't hooked to something. Clean that up. This thing was hanging, but also not powered. Kind of a 12-volt power outlet. I'm assuming that that one still works. They probably just were trying to add another one. You can see here it's not. So I'm gonna clean that up. Getting rid of the 3-pod gauges because we're not gonna need water or volts since our Holly's gonna do that for us. I only need a single pod for the oil pieces. So I'm probably gonna go grab a single pod, move that over there, and then put that terminator somewhere in here if I could figure out how to mount that thing. Clean up these zip ties, clean up all this wiring, trying to make that a whole bunch neater. Man, this thing's clean. Good rig. Might change the steering wheel too because this keeps happening. And upon further investigation, this whole horn ring is all busted up. We can't have that. We cannot have that. So I might be changing on the wheel. I might have just the thing. Well, for Pete's sake, fixed. Well, wiring is done in here. I've cleaned all this up. I've cleaned all this up under here. We've got a single oil pressure gauge now, and I tilted-levered towards the driver on that. And I decided, I went in a couple different areas. I was gonna do the touchscreen over here, then I thought we'd mount it below, and I landed on right here. It's kind of hidden, which I like, actually, because if you peek in here, looks just like a carbureted old car. But when you sit in this thing and you're cruising it, you're going to easily be able to see temperature and voltage, which is pretty much what we're going to be running over here. And then we've got our oil pressure down here. Then if you want to tune, you know, you can still beep booping, still get the card out the side. So that should work pretty good. This rascal. Hey, I got it. Oh. Well, guys, moving on to the fuel system back there, and I got the tank prepped. This is not a hard process. Just took a guy a little bit. This is time. You got to put some time in, you know. This is a universal jobber set for GM. You got to adjust the height of it and the length of the thing, you know, so just fuel level. And same with this. You got to cut all your pipes and hoses and doodads. Make sure you get that right so your filter sock isn't stuck on the bottom of the tank. And then I had to run into town and get these barb fittings. And then I realized I did not have a pressure regulator for this, which we need for the Sniper in this particular setup. It needs to have a fuel pressure regulator, an external one, because this one does not have a regulator built into it like this unit does right here. This one's a plug and play. You plug in, fuel pressure regulator. Well, you plug in here, excuse me. But it's one built in. This unit here does not have one built in, but what we're gonna do is use one off of a Corvette, like a C5 Corvette. I'm gonna show you guys how to do that. And all we need is just some vapor lock line. We're gonna have a send coming into a filter. We're gonna return off that filter right back here. So it's gonna be our filter and our pressure regulator, and it's gonna set it right at about 58 to 60, and it's significantly cheaper than buying the regulator and the AN fittings and all of that stuff. So this is almost ready. I am going to make up 2 wires, have those hanging off the tank. Actually, they're gonna be going this way, off the back. That's where the ground and the factory connection for the boop boop on the thingy back here. And I'm also going to put return and send fuel line and hang that off, oh, I don't know, 10 or so feet. The goal is to get us, you know, up on the frame rail, somewhere up in there. So when we put the tank up, we're done. We're not fighting up in here trying to connect things or put things on. Last thing I got to do is put this in for the vent. Kit came with this Y. I'm going to go ahead and take this vent and this vent into this T, and then I got a little boat vent we'll strap up on the axle or somewhere up on the car and make sure this is properly vented, because it's the E and the F's and the I's system. Venting is, you know, let's do that. Got some laugh out loud Glola line, 300 psi. And just a reminder, you don't need nothing on the return, just cheap junk. This is just a piece laying around that I had hooked to a clicky clacker. But on the pressure side, you know, you're going to be running up to 60 pounds. So make sure you get some decent line. Got the new O2 sensor plugged in here. And I got the old one out fairly easy. But something tells me it wasn't censoring anything. I'm sure that's from the old system, the wire was cut. But anyway, it was really convenient that this was in here. I'm sure Chad's gonna hack all this off and just start completely over, but we'll get this in and plugged. And then I am going to have to cut this somewhere so we can do some fuel line routing. That's what I was looking at, and I figured I might as well do that before I forget. We'll drop this old tank here in a second. So here's that fuel sending unit. We'll splice in right here so we can use this original connection. This is the ground for that. And then up front here, we've got steel lines. One is the feed, which goes this side of the car. One is the return, which goes this side of the car. That's pretty different. Not, you know, normal, but is what it is. I'm just gonna snag that bolt out, snip those off with the Leatherman, snag out that bolt, snip out that bolt, let her, you know, drop on my head, basically, is how that's gonna happen. We didn't fill it on the way home intentionally. And then I noticed this old muffler hanger that someone just kind of cut off and let hang. We're gonna try to drill that out, and we're gonna put our little vent check ball right there. Wouldn't that be handy? And then we're going to run our feed and return this way. So I'm going to hack all this junk out of the way, because we're going to be sending exhaust this way, and I want to keep it away from the heat. Also, because the feed, as beforehand mentioned, whoa, I'm getting busy here, is coming on this side. There it is right there over to the old mechanical pump, which we're deleting on. But there's more room snagging up through here than there is over here. We'll just do a little crossover somewhere up front. At least that's the plan anyway. You know what I mean? What is this? I already work on this? Huh. Yeah. Okay, sure. All right, and this guy. Okay, yep. Oh, she's just a swanger. All right, where did this bolt go? I need that. That's not gooder. Oh yeah, she's loose. Now I just gotta heave it down. Okay, yep, Faster but easier. Slower too. Whoa. Whoa. Wonder if we'll find a build sheet up here. Unlikely. She's getting a little wobbly. Okay, there's more fuel in here than I thought. Okay, there's dangerous things. I got gas in my eye. It's in my ear. It's pouring down my arm. This. Okay. What? Going as expected. Going as expected. We got build sheet. That's all I care about. Let me get this off of here quick. All right. Love that. Ow! Roll that beautiful bean footage. Okay. That was easy, you know? What'd you expect? Oh, there's that lug nut. Dang it. Had to change quick. Guy keeps some going to town shirts around the shop, just in case the better half wants to, you know, scoot to prime rib night or something down at the Legion. Anyway, the other one was soaked with gas. I'm trying to get the build sheet open. I don't think it's going to let me do it without damaging it. Walter Buick, Nashville, Tennessee is where it was built at. Isn't that cool? It's still here today. It's built in Kansas City, Missouri. I'll try to get this apart. These are so cool. This is the birth certificate of the car, and I like to keep them with the car. If I get this opened up, we'll laminate it. Laminated. Luminous? Lumens. I don't know. Look, it's late at night. Actually, it's early in the morning. So give a guy a break. Okay? We're almost there. Since this one's empty, I'm just going to try to muscle her in. The secret is quit jerking motions and use all of your back, basically. Okay. We got wires going this way. Yep. We got hoses going this way. Yep. Okay. That goes up there. Oh boy, that's actually pretty hefty. Yep. Yeah. There's quite a bit of regret setting in. Okay. I think I didn't get this ready. Because, you know, why would you do that? I think I'm gonna need all that. Okay. Are you doing anything? I don't think that's. Listen, you're not pulling your weight. All right. I just can't even believe I'll never see that socket again. So anyway, did I ever tell you about that time? We were putting a fuel tank in. It was really easy. Okay, this time I need to be ready. Okay, I got wires going on the back. Yep. I got hoses going in front. Yep. Okay. What did I change to make this better? Nothing. I didn't change nothing. Okay. Oh. Why did I do that? Sasquatch power. Okay. Now. This is why men die before women. Why did I get a socket extension that's 37 miles long at minimum? My eyelids are sweating. Okay. Piece of cake. Break the wrist. Walk away. Well, after that ordeal, I think I'm finally ready to admit, well, some call it getting tired. I call it weakness. But truth be told, Chad from Volunteer Muffler and Performance is going to be here in just a few hours. So I'm going to go lay down, get the earth pounders up, eat an egg or something. I don't know. And then we'll be back on it. We got to get this custom exhaust done. I still have to build a tip, a boom tube of some sorts. We got to run the fuel lines. We got more digitals to do. It's going to be another long day tomorrow. That's my last day because I leave for, what am I doing? Another revival. That's cool. See you tomorrow. Well, it's a good same morning to you, sirs and madams. Chad's going to be here any minute, so we're going to switch gears. I got hoses hanging out of the car and all sorts of stuff, but he's going to have this old exhaust chopped out and new stuff boxed in quick. So I got to get started on this boom tube tip pipe deal. So I got to clean off the plasma table, which is now a shelf from trying to reorganize. That's great. Don't put tables in your garages, fellers, because they're going to fill up. And then we got to get to designing and cutting and welding and bending. So I used some CAD, cardboard aided development, and I think this is going to be the foundation to our tip here. It's big enough to, I think, emphasize what we're going for, but it's not just gaudy and huge for a couple reasons. One, that's costs more money in metal, and it's just kind of ugly. Two, it's got to be small enough that it's going to work with the car, meaning if the frame rail is here, this thing can't be this long, right? Because Chad's got to tie into this thing. So how I have it here is this is going to be the exit, which is the same size as that first piece that I held up, and I thought it looked pretty good. Again, it gets the point across, it has the look, but it's not, obscene. This is going to be our inlet, and we're going to do dual in, so it's not a single in pipe or tip. So I've got it up here on this is a paper CAD. I get asked about this a lot, and it's a really cool program, and the software is up over here, but literally I can just trace. If I come over here and I'm going to make a line, I can just trace this and it puts that right into the software for me. So that way I don't have to sit down in the actual CAD and figure out these angles and lengths and tape sticks and rulers and look at the stars and all that stuff. I can blast this out in a couple seconds, throw this in the TurboCAD, clean it up, and I've got my shape. It's that easy. So I'm going to get to going on this here, see if I can get some sort of design in CAD. Cutting the base out right now, and then we can start getting more measurements and also test the size before we waste too much metal here. All right. Hot tomato. Yeah, it's gonna look good. Well, Chad's here thankfully, because this isn't just to cut it out and burn stuff in. It's because, he's a professional, obviously. This is gonna be a pain in the rear. First of all, he also discovered just by looking at the oil pan, this is not the original engine, because the exhaust doesn't fit between the cross member and the oil pan, and that's why it's low. So he can't just swing it over like that, because we're going 2.5. Or are you going 3-inch pipe?
2.5.
2.5. There's a brake line in the way, and there's also not flanges on the headers. So, wrong, bad, difficult. Then, these guys take up quite a bit of room. And then I designed my tips wrong. So I gotta go redesign those. He's gonna start cutting and designing and planning. I'm gonna go back to the drawing table, literally, and try to figure out a different tip. And we can, I don't know, our powers combined, we're gonna come up with some exhaust here. Chad's modifying the headers. Thinks they might be F-body. I'm over here working on the base and the bottom of the tip. I got one side bent here, and I think I'm gonna make this more of a universal piece. Found the angle and all that and bent it up, but We need runners in here to make this more traditional looking. Probably one, two, probably 3 of them. So if I just start stacking these in here, something like that. I'm going to play with them, but I might be able to make this piece work. Plus it's going to help stand this up. So we have 90 degrees in here, and all we have to do is cap it. Over here, now that I've got this one mocked up, I can come over here and set this in. There's my angle. So I can duplicate all these to about 60 degrees just for spring back. I can cut all these out on the table at once and line them up and bend them all at the same exact time. And they're gonna be perfectly the same. So that's kind of what I'm gonna do right now. Just kind of some tedious stuff, but it's gotta be done. And then once I got a few cut out, I can start laying them in here, see how that's gonna look. Take a little stretch and a bend. I'm gonna go a little past 60. Well, that's a lot of spring back on these puppies. That should be good. All right, it's starting to come together. And then I just need to make this side and then the rear, which is going to have the actual tube inlets, 2 3-inch. But those slats are going to help us kind of hide, you know, the pipe coming in, so to speak, depending on where you're looking. Then of course we'll have the top, will be the last piece here. Well, I think the feller's got all the pieces cut out finally. That's the hard part of that puzzle anyway. We're gonna run into town, grab a bite to eat. I got little man with me here, my smallest human I'm responsible for. You gotta feed him if you want him to grow, you know what I mean? While we're in town, I gotta pick up a regulator gauge set for my small 120, my 31 MP welder. I'm gonna use that to put together this tip so Chad can use the big 256 MIG over on the car. We don't need nothing over here, just Ray Charles' tip together, it doesn't really matter. And we're gonna get a mirror and a couple other small things, we'll be back at it. Bentley's over here working on his 4-liter, he calls it. This is an old 70, I got him years ago when they were babies. And the tank is rusty and it has holes in it and leaks. And I kept telling him, wait, I'll help you someday, we'll figure it out. He couldn't wait anymore. And he made his own fuel tank. We're about to see if this thing fires up, huh?
Yep.
Give her a pull. Almost. Oh, close.
Yep.
Good job, buddy. While we're buzzing away on the tip here, Chad's helping me get this little machine dialed in on that old school regulator. Haven't used one of those ever before. And we're also running it on a big extension cord. That's not helping. So we're not quite getting the heat or penetration we need. But nonetheless, the tip is coming together. So we've got our dual in. And my hope or intention is sound and air is deflected through all of these different channels. I don't know anything about building mufflers or tips, but I'm hoping this is going to help diffuse and deflect and make something very unique. And I don't know, I guess whoever wins the car, you can live with it or replace it. I don't know, okay? We're going to put the lid on it. do some upside down welding, and of course weld around the edge of the case. I'm gonna sand it down a little bit, but I don't want to affect the integrity, so we're not going to go crazy with that, but we'll see what we can do. Well, it's done. I'm going to need a whole box of flap discs, but you know, it's a tail pepper. It's flipped upside down, but I'm going to buzz on this for a minute and hit it with some spray paint. Chad's waiting on me. It's not going to be perfect. Again, basically all we're going for is that look. Just, you know, this way. Sweet. Almost finished it. Chad's mocking her up right now. Man, that looks good. That's exactly what this car needed. He's going to do the hangers and the doodads and the grommets and the rubber things and the inlets and outs and the pipes and the stuff. And then I'll take this down and we're going to paint it so it doesn't rust in 29 hours. Well, we'd be ready to rip. He's got the rest of this done and it looks amazing. For what it was and what he had to do, he even notched the cross member. Let me show you, I'm serious. I'll show you right now. He actually had to notch the cross member to make this happen. Look at that. Boop. Can't even tell. Dang old factory option. That's looking really good. He remounted the O2. Wanted that to be right. We got Black Widows. We got an X pipe in here. And then we're going to swing this over into that tip. I can't wait to hear what this thing sounds like. It's going to be, well, it's going to be unique. One of a kind. Guarantee it. Got this bad boy painted up and just drying. Bentley actually sprayed this. So looking pretty good. Just let her hang and dry. I'm gonna start routing some fuel lines. Chad did me a favor and ran into town. He's gonna pick up the Corvette filter / regulator. We're gonna start running this stuff as well because all we have to do is slip that on and put the 2 hangers in, weld her up, exhaust is done. So and all that's preventing us from firing this thing up is fuel. So I want to try to get that done tonight because I am out of time and I cannot wait to hear the sound of this thing. While I was finishing up that tip, Chad went ahead and put in this regulator / filter, and we can't get this fitting to snap in there right. It just, well, it leaks. But this Dorman piece seems to fit in there okay. So I'm gonna bend this a little bit so we can get around this corner. We'll just have to push it into the rubber on this side and clamp it, and then hopefully that'll address the leaking issue. We can hook up some power to this thing, see if we can get this thing fired up. Running the pump, I don't know if you could hear it or not. We got no leaks this time. This steel line did it. Gonna tighten that down. This is a bolt welded to the frame. And this will be a nice area to access this, to swap it if need be in the future. I think we're good. We got fuel pressure. Well guys, my plan was to just run the fuel pump off that Milwaukee battery and fire this thing up. It is late Friday afternoon. I've got to get this stuff wrapped up and to you guys here pretty quick. Unfortunately, somehow with all the tomfoolery going on around here, I've managed to crack the micro SD card and the adapter, and I'm getting all sorts of errors on the handheld. Not able to run the Wizards machine. I'm gonna quick run in the house, try to download card contents onto another card, put it on here, maybe even download the full software on the computer, see if I can get a base tune on this thing really quick so we could fire it up. Probably not gonna be able to do a test drive today, but don't worry, that's coming very soon. In fact, we plan on, one way or another, having this car on power tour. So you guys can come out and see it in person, sit in it. Who knows? Could be your car in the near future. Hard to say. Anyway, I'm gonna run to the house, see what I can do here. See what this does. Come on. Don't give me the errors. Hey, we might be in business. All right, just let me run the wizard here quick. And we should be in business. All right, we might be there, guys. I called Hollytech support. They helped me. We had to transfer the card contents onto another micro SD card, get that loaded, upgrade the firmware and all that stuff. I think we're gonna be set now. I've never had that happen. I don't know what I did to break that card. Now, I wanna fire this up quick. So we're just gonna hotwire the fuel pump. Keep in mind, normally the Holley ECU controls all that for fuel pump prime and stuff like that. So not quite sure how that's gonna work on startup, but we're just gonna fire up the fuel pump, twist the key, see if this thing lights off. All right, I'm gonna jump under the car here, use the old Milwaukee wiring, pop this fuel pump on. Okay. Fuel pump is hot. Boot screen's loaded. All right, bring in the thunders. Yes, immediately. Air fuel's right at 12. Nice, you can hear it already learning. Oh, that sounds so much better. Yeah. We crack it a little. Ran for 3 seconds. Surely we should be able to crack it. Oh yeah. Still running a little rich. We just fired it, but it'll clear that up. Man, that sounds. We better do it again, right? Oh yeah. Yeah. Mission accomplished with that. Well, still got a few things to button up on the Do car here, but overall great success. We've added some old school but modern looks to the engine there with the Holley vintage valve covers. Spiffed it up with that Stealth 4150 fuel injection system there. We've got the Hyperspark digital computer box timing. I haven't even shot a timing light at the thing and she fired right off, and it's only going to get better as it learns. We cleaned up the interior, took out a bunch of old gauges and wiring, cleaned that up, got a nice little handheld in there, and of course the custom exhaust that not only looks cool, looks the part, sounds absolutely amazing. Now you're going to see this car a bunch this month because one way or another, whether I'm driving it or a friend, you're going to see this on Power Tour. Plus, we might even have it at Rocky Mountain Race Week. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Wait until you see who's going to be driving the thing potentially. I think you're really going to like it. Now you know the deal. If you want a chance to win the number 11 Mountain Dew car back here, plus $5,000 cash, just go over to vicegripgarage.com. Get yourself a back rag, a forehead awning, some stickers, a keychain, a sweater, a flannel. I don't know what you want, you know what I mean? But every $5 gives you one entry. And remember, for you Canadians, my friends up north, you guys are good to enter as well, with the exception of Quebec. Thanks guys for watching, appreciate it very much. Stay tuned, you're gonna see this car very soon. We've got to get this buttoned up and Longmire for the Power Tour.